The crystalline walls of the Citadel Hall shimmered with an eerie internal light, reflecting the faces of the Council of Xylar, each etched with a mixture of fear and simmering outrage. The air, normally charged with the quiet hum of energy conduits and the muted whispers of millennia of galactic governance, was thick with unspoken tension. At the head of the colossal chamber, carved from a single, impossibly vast geode, sat the Primarch Xylo, his 6 eyes fixed on the holographic projection that dominated the space before him. The image flickered, a volatile nebula of data streams, sensor readings, and fragmented transmissions, the chaotic signature of the species that had dared to breach the intergalactic accord. A species the Council, in its infinite wisdom and caution, had decreed should remain unobserved. Now they were here, and the Citadel Hall pulsed with a silent tremor of anticipation, a prelude to the inevitable storm. Primarch Xylo, his voice a low rumble that resonated through the chamber, broke the strained silence. "Report!" His mandibles, normally still in moments of contemplation, clicked in a slow, deliberate rhythm. The weight of his gaze seemed to press down on the assembled counselors, their diverse forms, the serpentine Vectari, the chitinous krill, the energy-based Luminians, each a testament to the myriad civilizations united under Xylar dominion. They were the architects of peace, the guardians of the galaxy, and they were, at this moment, profoundly, unnervingly outmaneuvered. A tall, slender Vectari counselor Zith uncoiled slightly, a gesture that spoke volumes of her unease. "Primarch," she hissed, her voice a sibilant whisper, "the initial probes were inconsistent. Their energy signatures are anomalous. We have classified them as a Typex civilization, a classification we reserved only for the hypothetical, for civilizations whose development path is unpredicted. They have breached the established boundaries with an unprecedented speed, a disregard for galactic protocols that defies explanation." She paused, her eyes, like polished obsidian, darting across the chamber. "Their technology, based on the preliminary analysis, appears to be fundamentally different. They seem to exploit energies, dimensions we are unfamiliar with." A low growl rumbled from the Krill representative, Councillor Cathar. "Unfamiliar? Such ignorance is dangerous. They should be destroyed, purged before they spread their unknown infections." The Krill, known for their pragmatic ruthlessness, saw only threat. Their culture had been forged in the crucible of endless war. Diplomacy and patience were alien concepts. The other counselors stirred, a ripple of unease moving through the chamber. Cathar's words were a blunt instrument, yet they echoed the fear that clawed at the core of their collective consciousness. The holographic projection shifted, the data streams coalescing into a more coherent form. It revealed a series of fleeting images, crude but potent, showing vessels that were angular, aggressive, and undeniably alien. They were not sleek, energy-efficient ships like the ones the Council was accustomed to, but brutal, heavy-looking constructs, bristling with weaponry, radiating an almost palpable aura of defiance. Below the ships, faint images showed primitive settlements, planet-bound, but with traces of an advanced science. The Primarch's gaze remained unwavering. "Their origin?" Zith answered, her voice trembling slightly. "Unknown. They emerged from a region previously deemed uninhabited, a sector of the galactic rim we had neglected. Their navigation capabilities are remarkable, bypassing established warp lanes and utilizing systems that evade all known methods of tracking. They have reached several systems within the Xylar collective, a rate of expansion that is alarming." A ripple of fear passed through the chamber. The Xylar collective, a vast tapestry of allied worlds, was a bulwark against the galactic darkness, a testament to centuries of diplomacy and careful alliance. But a secret, insidious fear had always dwelled in their hearts, a fear that with each passing stellar cycle, the Xylar collective might someday be caught off guard. This new civilization seemed like the nightmare incarnate. Councillor Luma, the ethereal representative of the Luminians, spoke. Her form, a shifting kaleidoscope of pure energy, radiated a calm that seemed almost unbearable in the tense atmosphere. "We must understand them before we act. Destruction is the last resort. Their sudden appearance is cause for concern, but does not necessitate a war." Her voice, a melodic chime, echoed the ancient Luminians' philosophy. "Understand?" Cathar sneered. "There is nothing to understand about a predator. They are an existential threat. They will consume us if we allow them." The Primarch raised a hand, silencing the ensuing argument. "Councillor Cathar's concerns are not unfounded, but Councillor Luma's prudence is wise. We have always relied on knowledge, on strategy. We cannot give it up now." "But what strategies can be used?" Zith asked, her voice filled with apprehension. They do not respond to our standard methods of communication. Our probes have been ignored, destroyed. Their language is completely unknown. Their social structure is indecipherable. We know only that they call themselves humans. The word hung in the air, a name that carried no meaning, yet resonated with a sense of immense unfamiliarity. The humans. The galaxy crossed humanity's boundary, though they never expected the catastrophe that followed. The Primarch sighed, a sound that resonated with the weight of responsibility. Then we must learn, we must observe, we must adapt. Initiate a reconnaissance mission, deploy a neutral observation vessel, one that can monitor without provoking. Let us see their patterns, their motivations. Then and only then we decide. The counselors murmured their assent, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and cautious determination. The Citadel Hall, usually a place of quiet deliberation, now felt like the eye of a gathering storm. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy, as they knew it, was about to change. Centuries of experience had taught the Xylar to be patient, to observe, to gather information before acting. They deployed a small, heavily shielded observation vessel, the Custodian, to the vicinity of the human-occupied systems. Its mission was simple: observe, record, and above all, avoid contact. The Xylar Collective was used to galactic war, but also to diplomatic intricacies. They were not used to something that broke all the rules. The Custodian was equipped with the most advanced sensors in the Xylar arsenal, capable of detecting and analyzing virtually any form of energy emission, matter configuration, and even, theoretically, thought patterns. The crew, a mix of Xylar, Vectari, and Krill specialists, worked tirelessly, sifting through the torrent of data streaming in from their probes. What they discovered was baffling. The human vessels, initially perceived as crude and barbaric, were revealed to be remarkably resilient. They were not as fast as the Xylar's sleek energy-based ships, but their weaponry was something else entirely. The energy signatures were unlike anything they had encountered, combining conventional kinetic bombardment with directed energy weapons of frightening efficiency. But the most alarming aspect was their unpredictable nature. They seemed to operate on a different set of rules, one that defied logic and strategic planning. The first few weeks passed in a blur of analysis and bewilderment. The humans did not appear to be actively hostile. They did not attack their neighbors. They did not initiate any form of communication. They were just there. They expanded their territory, constructed more of their strange, angular ships, and conducted what the Xylar could only interpret as research. Commander Tilar, a seasoned Xylar officer and the captain of the Custodian, found herself increasingly frustrated. The humans were not behaving as they should. They were not exhibiting the predictable patterns of aggression or expansion that the Xylar were accustomed to. They were, in a word, unpredictable. They seemed to be studying, Tilar said, her voice crackling over the ship's comm system to her senior officers. They are mapping their system, analyzing their planet's resources. Their communication signals, we have been able to partially decode their language, are filled with scientific and philosophical terms. They are not conquerors. They are explorers. Explorers, Counselor Zith's voice filled the comms. That is unlikely. Every species is driven by expansion. Every civilization is built on conflict. What do they want? We do not know, replied Tilar, her voice filled with frustration. They may simply want to study the stars, a goal that would have been unimaginable to some of us. The sensors detected a spike in energy. The ship had picked up the signature of a new vessel jumping out of warp. It was a human ship, and it was moving towards the Custodian. They are coming for us, Tilar said with a grim voice. Panic erupted. The Krill officers, hardened by decades of fighting, immediately recommended a preemptive strike. The Vectari officers, more cautious by nature, advocated for caution, for observation. Tilar, however, made a decision that would defy every expectation. Hold all fire, she commanded. Maintain a passive posture, do not engage. The ship went silent. The bridge crew was stunned, but they held their stations. The human vessel approached, its hull a dark, metallic gray. It was not as large as the Custodian, but it carried an undeniable presence of power. It drew closer until it was only a few thousand kilometers away. Then it stopped. Silence, the air in the bridge was thick with anticipation. Then a signal was sent. Not an attack, not a warning, but a message. A coded transmission originating from the human vessel directed to the Custodian. The Xylar technicians scrambled to decode the transmission. The results were astounding. not an attack but a greeting. It was in the Xylar language, albeit a rudimentary form, but nonetheless. They opened a channel. A screen on the bridge flickered to life, showing the bridge of the human vessel. The humans were of various colors. Some seemed to be dark-skinned, others were pale, but they all stood tall and proud. A human figure stepped forward. They seemed to be older, with graying hair. He was dressed in a simple gray uniform. He spoke, his words translated by the ship's onboard computers into the Xylar language. "Greetings, we are the humans, we come in peace." The room erupted. The Primarch Xylo watched the images with unwavering concentration. The council hall, now filled with the tension of revelation, was as silent as the void. The humans were unpredictable, yes, but also perplexing. They were not as the council had supposed. They were not destroyers. They were something else entirely. The image on the screen showed the custodian crew, the Xylar delegation, standing face to face with the human envoys. The meeting was taking place in a neutral space station, a location chosen to project a sense of both openness and readiness. The human envoy, the gray-haired man, spoke with a calmness that defied the circumstances. "We have been observing your civilization. We have studied your technology, your customs, your history. We know of your fears. We understand your concerns." "You are a threat," Cathar snarled. "You have invaded our space." The human envoy's face remained neutral. "We have crossed the border, not to conquer, but to explore, not to destroy, but to understand. Our presence may be a threat, but it is not intended as one." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the assembled representatives, his voice dropping to a lower tone. "We know of your wars, of your internal conflicts. You have many enemies, and so do we." A hush fell over the room. The implication was clear. The humans were offering an alliance, a pact of mutual support. But why? What did they want? "Why?" the Primarch's voice echoed in the chamber. "Why would you offer alliance? What do you seek?" The human envoy's gaze met the Primarch's. "The galaxy is vast. It is filled with wonders, but it is also filled with dangers. There are things that are far greater threats than mere galactic conflict. We have seen them. We know them." He paused, his expression growing serious. "We see one such threat, and we believe it is growing." "Threat," Cathar scoffed. "We are the guardians of the galaxy. We are the masters of the collective." The envoy nodded slowly. "Perhaps, but are you prepared for what is coming?" He tapped a datapad, and a new image materialized on the screen. It depicted a star system, a system on the edge of the galaxy, the furthest reaches of known space. It showed a massive structure, a colossal megastructure, larger than any known vessel, any known celestial body. "This," the envoy said, his voice dropping to a whisper, "is the Scourge. It is ancient, it is powerful, and it is coming. This is the threat that has haunted us for centuries, a threat that will devour all. We will need every hand, every weapon, every mind if we are to have any chance against it." The council chamber erupted in chaos. The implications of this revelation were staggering. An ancient, cosmic threat, a force of destruction that dwarfed even the most devastating of galactic wars. They had spent millennia squabbling amongst themselves, fighting over resources and defending territory when the galaxy itself was threatened by something far, far more dangerous. The Primarch raised a hand, silencing the ensuing pandemonium. His eyes were fixed on the screen, on the image of the colossal structure. His mind raced. He had to make a decision that would shape the fate of the Xylar collective, perhaps the fate of the entire galaxy. "We accept," he said, his voice firm, resolute. "We will join you. We will fight with you." A wave of stunned silence rolled through the chamber. Cathar looked ready to protest, but his words died on his tongue. The Primarch's decision was absolute. "We will offer what we have, our forces, our technology, our knowledge, but you must be ready. This will be unlike anything we have ever faced, and it may cost us everything." The human envoy's face broke into a small, almost imperceptible smile. "Then let us begin." He gestured to the image of the colossal megastructure. "We have much to discuss." The alliance was born. The Xylar collective, the humans and their allies, the Luminians, the Vectari, and even some of the more pragmatic Krill factions, began to mobilize. A new age of cooperation dawned, one that was built on mutual respect and necessity. The humans were unlike any species the Xylar had encountered. They were calm, ethical, logical, and powerfully capable. The first step was to learn. The human scientists shared their knowledge of the Scourge, of its origins, its capabilities, and its weaknesses. The Xylar scientists, in turn, offered their own expertise in energy manipulation, weapon development, and strategic thinking. It was a partnership forged in necessity, but one that quickly blossomed into something more, a mutual respect for the other's strengths. They built ships together, not just ships, but powerful, specialized war machines. They combined human kinetic technology with Xylar energy weapons, creating a hybrid arsenal that was far superior to anything either side had produced. The humans brought their tactical prowess, their ability to think outside the box. The Xylar brought their strategic vision, their experience in navigating the complexities of galactic politics. They prepared for war. The humans' first action was not in the expected direction. They didn't focus on the weaponry or the military. Instead, they focused on the mental. The human scientists, who were a unique blend of psychologist and soldier, focused on the minds of the people. This was a war against an outside entity, but what if the true enemy was in the mind? They wanted to train the soldiers. The Xylar and its allies would quickly adapt to the human form of battle, in which they would have to learn to strategize in ways that they never knew. The initial scouts were sent. The Custodian, the ship that first met the humans, was dispatched with a contingent of human soldiers to survey the megastructure. When they returned, they brought back images that defied description. The Scourge was a monstrous construction, a cosmic engine of destruction. It was not a single entity, but a collective of interconnected modules, each designed to strip away the life from entire star systems. Its power was derived from the core of the galaxy itself, a well of energy that threatened to consume everything. The Xylar and their allies were ready. The humans had helped the Xylar prepare for war, but they had also prepared them for something else, something even more important, a fundamental shift in perspective. They had shown them the true nature of their galaxy and the threats that lay hidden in the cosmic darkness. They had shown them that even in the face of annihilation, there was always a path to be forged, a way to fight. And most importantly, they had shown them what humanity was, a force for good. The combined fleet, a tapestry of Xylar cruisers, human battleships, and Vectari frigates, moved toward the edge of known space, toward the Scourge. The air was thick with the silent hum of energy, the low rumble of anticipation. The tension in the bridge was palpable as all waited for the command. The Primarch Xylo, now a respected commander within the combined fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Invincible, his 6 eyes scanning the vast expanse of space. Next to him stood the human envoy, the gray-haired man who had led the initial contact. His gaze, as ever, was calm, focused. "Are we ready?" the Primarch asked, his voice low, steady. The human envoy nodded. "As ready as we will ever be. We are not just fighting to survive, but to create. We are fighting to protect." The Primarch nodded. "I understand, for the galaxy, for those we want to protect, let the fight begin." The first stage of the battle plan was launched. A wave of human fighters, sleek, agile machines, streaked across the void, engaging the Scourge's defensive drones. The battle was chaotic, a swirling vortex of energy and destruction. The Xylar cruisers unleashed volleys of energy beams, tearing through the enemy formations. The human battleships unleashed volleys of kinetic bombardment, delivering blows that were devastating in their power. The humans proved their mettle. They were not merely warriors, but strategists. They anticipated the Scourge's every move, using their knowledge of its weaknesses to their advantage. They had the ability to go above and beyond, and were able to plan long-term. The first stage of the battle was a brutal, bloody affair. The combined fleet took heavy losses, but they held the line. They were determined. The humans were fighting for something more than survival. They were fighting for something they'd spent centuries trying to find. The second stage of the battle saw the combined fleet pushing into the Scourge's territory. The Xylar, using their mastery of energy manipulation, worked to disrupt the Scourge's systems, creating openings for the human battleships to strike. The battle shifted from one of defense to one of active aggression, the fleet's strategic advantage leading to greater success. The third and final stage would be the most difficult. It involved the insertion of a strike team into the heart of the Scourge, a dangerous mission to destroy its core. The Xylar and their allies worked together, moving in to breach the Scourge's outer defenses. The human fighters and soldiers provided the cover, engaging the enemy in close combat. The strategy and intelligence of the humans allowed the fleet to move forward, taking on the brunt of the attacks. The team, composed of both human and Xylar warriors, was led by the human envoy and Commander Tilar. They moved through the structure, fighting through waves of robotic defenders, and navigating a labyrinth of corridors and chambers. The final chamber was vast, filled with a blinding, swirling energy. The Scourge's core, a pulsating, chaotic mass of energy, dominated the space. The strike team prepared to deploy the device. The human envoy turned to Tilar, his face etched with determination. "For the galaxy, Commander, for the future." Tilar nodded, her voice steady. "For the future, may we never forget." As the explosive detonated, the Scourge's core was destroyed. The galaxy was safe. The resulting blast of energy sent ripples through the fabric of space. The megastructure, now fractured and broken, was engulfed in a wave of destructive energy. The combined fleet watched in awe as the Scourge, the ancient cosmic terror, was finally undone. The galaxy crossed the boundary and was never the same again. The aftermath of the battle was a time of both celebration and mourning. The Xyler and the humans had endured a long and bloody war, and there were many losses to be accounted for, but they had prevailed. They had overcome the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The human envoy stood on the bridge of the Invincible, looking out at the shattered remains of the Scourge. Next to him stood Primarch Xylo, his face reflecting a mixture of exhaustion and relief. "It is over," the Primarch said, his voice quiet. "We have won." The envoy nodded. "Yes, but the galaxy is still vast. There are still many dangers." He paused, his gaze turning to the Primarch. "We must remember our victory. We must also remember the cost." The Primarch nodded. "Indeed, what will you do now?" The envoy smiled. "We will rebuild, we will explore, we will continue to seek out the unknown, we will push forward because that is what we do." The Primarch was silent for a moment. He had come to know the humans well, and he knew that what they said was true. They were driven by an insatiable curiosity, a desire to understand, to improve. They were not perfect, but they were good. "And what of us?" the Primarch asked. "What role do we play in this new galaxy?" The envoy put a hand on his shoulder. "We will move forward together. We will share our knowledge. We will build a better future, a future where such threats are defeated, where the galaxy can flourish. We can and will remember those who fought in the darkness." The Primarch nodded, a renewed sense of purpose filling him. The Xyler Collective, the humans, and their allies had forged a bond, a unity that would endure for ages. They would have many battles ahead, but they would face them together. Then a signal was received. A faint, almost imperceptible transmission originating from a distant, unexplored region of the galaxy. It was a message, a coded signal that had been dormant for millennia. The signal was clear, and it was the same that they had found on the ships that the humans used. The envoy's expression shifted to curiosity. "What is this?" The Xyler technicians scrambled to decode the transmission. The message was ancient, a plea for help, a warning. The origins of the message were from a place far beyond their own, from the unknown. They opened the channel. The image on the screen, a holographic projection, materialized before them. It showed a desolate landscape, a barren planet. Then a figure appeared, a silhouette against the harsh light of the setting sun. It was humanoid, but clearly alien. The figure spoke, its voice a synthesized echo of the past. "We are the Guardians. We have fallen, the stars have faded, and the darkness has come. The Scourge we thought it defeated. It is not defeated. It is only dormant." A wave of dread washed over the bridge. The threat they had just defeated had only been the vanguard. The true threat, the entity that had birthed the Scourge, was still out there, still hungry. "They are coming," the figure continued. "They are drawn by the destruction. They will consume all." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in silence. The implications were staggering. The Scourge was not an isolated incident. It was part of something far larger, far more sinister. The galaxy's problems were just beginning. The Primarch turned to the envoy, his face grim. "What do we do?" The envoy turned back. "We will do what we have always done," he said, his voice resolute. "We will fight, we will adapt, we will explore, and we will endure. We will make it together. We must. The galaxy depends on it." He paused, looking back out at the vast expanse of space. "The humans, they are the same. We will always fight." The Primarch nodded. "Then let us begin. The galaxy will depend on us." The image of the desolate planet vanished, replaced by the vast expanse of the galaxy. The combined fleet of the Xyler, the humans, and their allies stood ready to meet the new threat. The fight would continue. It had always been this way. The galaxy was crossed, and the catastrophe was never truly over. It was the beginning.